What up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Chef, and you already know what time it is. We are back for another episode of the YAK Pod. It's episode 16 to be exact. And today we are going to be talking about Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Now, I've talked about him before, but I wanted to do a little bit of a deeper dive into what Ennis Rakestraw Jr. is going to be bringing the Detroit Lions if he is the pick. In fact, now I've already talked about his injury history, and I am a little bit concerned by that, especially when you look at our injury situation with our cornerbacks. We've got Cam Sutton, who had a turf toe injury towards the end of the season. We know his limitations, and maybe he's not a number one corner, and maybe Rakestraw will be the one that can fill into that. But I also do want to look at getting someone in free agency to fill that role. But Cam Sutton played well in the first half of the season. And then when he got towards the back half of the season and he got the turf toe injury and he had to start matching up against the likes of, Puka Nakua, the likes of Mike Evans, these people, CD Lamb, he didn't fare too well. I'm not gonna lie. He did not fare too well. So, but he's our number one corner and he's injured. And then we have situations with Jerry Jacobs. Jerry Jacobs was not supposed to be a starter, but he was starting anyway as a depth piece because we have injury concerns. We signed Emmanuel Mosley. Emmanuel Mosley was already injured. We know that. But he came back, and 3 snaps later, he was injured again, another catastrophic knee injury on the other side. Sometimes that happens. You rehab one side, and then the other side gets weaker than it should be, and then the other side goes because you've paid so much attention to the side that you were rehabbing. So we already had that situation. So we had Jerry Jacobs in there, and Jerry Jacobs played well in the beginning of the season, but what happened? He got benched. And then after he got benched, he got injured. But even after he was benched, he was more so a special teams guy because, that's what they have him there for anyway, primarily special teams. Um, so then you had Kendall Vildor coming in, and everyone wants to, throw dirt on Kendall Vildor's name. Again, I'm going to continue to defend Kendall Vildor because I think Kendall Vildor played very well for what he was there for. He was there to be a depth piece. That's not a guy that you want as your starter, and they had to press him into starting action. And he made a few plays and he gave up a few plays. But obviously, his name lives in infamy because of the whole situation with the interception that he didn't catch, and it turned out to be a 51-yard reception for Brandon Ayuk down at the 5-yard line in the NFC Championship game. And as I continue to say, had he caught it, had it just fallen, to the ground harmlessly, no one would really be talking about Kendall Vildor and how bad he sucks and how you don't want him back in Detroit and all these things. So, the circumstances of one play can make or break the opinions that the fans have about these players. So, that's the situation that we're in right now. So when you look at Ernest Rakestraw, and his injuries are of the lower body variety. They're not upper body injuries where you can say, oh, it was just a finger or it was a shoulder or something of this nature, something that wouldn't be so concerning. No, we have an ACL injury that was sustained in 2021. And then we have the core surgery, the groin muscle that he had to have repaired. I think he missed the Senior Bowl, and I'm not sure what his status will be for the NFL Combine. So there are some questions about his long speed. I don't think he's going to run a 4.6 or anything like that, but he might run uh, in the high 4.4s or the low 4.5s, something of that nature. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to have him run there. But when I start talking about his good qualities, then hopefully we won't really worry too much about speed. I mean, not every corner is going to run 4.3. Most corners don't run 4.3. So when you get a guy that runs a 4.3 like Tariq Woolen, you know, that's something different. But most corners are 4-4, 4-5 type guys. You don't want 4-6s and 4-7s, then you're getting teased taper. But that's neither here nor there. Lions fans know exactly what I'm talking about, and so do Bears fans, by the way. But so Ernest Rakestraw Jr. is he's one of the best man cover cornerbacks in this draft. And if you know anything about AG's scheme, he likes to be aggressive. He likes to put his cornerbacks on an island. He likes to send the blitz. He's had to do that because we didn't really manufacture um, pass rush from our defensive line as consistently as we would have liked to. So being intentional with your blitzes, being intentional with bringing your pressure in is something that AG has had to do. I don't mind being aggressive. Love aggressive defense. Actually, I don't like to just sit back in zone and let teams dink and dunk you down the field, which what we had to do that. In the season because of our injury situation. But then when you look when Iffy Melofano came back, we started blitzing a lot more. We started sending Iffy on blitzes. He got home, I believe, 5 times, had 5 sacks. So he fit very well into that scheme. And what allows you to get into that scheme is having man cover corners. And you could see that while we were getting home on the blitzes and while we were creating pressure, at the same time, we were giving up very big games to the number one receivers on the other side of the football field. So having a man cover corner who's proficient in man coverage will help us to bolster that defense, bolster that secondary, and allow us to execute the scheme a lot better. So also, Ennis Rakestraw Jr., he has elite fluidity, short area athleticism, very quick, very twitchy, can turn his hips. He's not going to get beat too much in man coverage because he's very physical. He's very good at redirecting. He's very good at jamming. He's good with his hands. He's very instinctive. He's very violent at the point of attack. He is going to dislodge the ball, separate the receiver from the ball. He will break up screens. He's got good closing speed. Um, so he's a very good cornerback. I don't have too many bad things to say about him. Is not someone who I wouldn't want on the team. The biggest knock on him is going to be his physicality because you understand that in the NFL, being physical, being a little bit too physical is going to lead to a lot of penalties. And if we look at our situation with penalties, there were a lot of times, it seemed like most of the time when it was third and gotta have it, um, the teams were getting it because we were giving them penalties. It looked like, okay, maybe we get a stop here, but then you see that flag and it's a defensive holding. Someone was getting too grabby and too handsy in the secondary. And those types of penalties kill you because it's like, all right, if it's 3rd and 15 and you get a 5-yard penalty, that's an automatic first down. It's really, really frustrating. So you would like to see corners kind of give up those 10 yards at least when it's 3rd and 15 plus. I don't care. You know, Obviously they have a choice to make whether they're gonna if they give up 10 yards and then it's 4th and 5, then you have a choice where you are on the middle, where you are on the field, what the score is. All these things will go into a fourth down decision, but let them make a fourth down decision is my point. Like, let's not get grabby and handsy in the secondary, and then make the choice for them, which is no choice because now they have a new set of downs. So something like that, would be maddening if we do wind up getting Ray Straw Jr. Um, some people do see him as a second round pick, but this is a guy that I've seen mocked to us a lot with the 29th pick. So, we may just have to get ready for it and accept that, he's coming to the Lions, which again, is not something that I am against. I'm just taking it, yeah, I'm very cautious, with injured players, especially the ones that you're drafting. Now, we know that, JMO was an injured player. He got off to a rocky start. Um, due to the injury, and also there was a suspension and things of that nature. But I mean, he rehabbed fine from it. Rakestraw's injury, as far as the ACL, was in 2021, so he's 3 years removed from it. Hadn't had any more issues with it, but I'm just really cautious when you start getting into the lower body injuries. The groin, the core muscle situation where you had surgery for. Sometimes those are nagging and debilitating, and they keep cropping back up. So these are situations where I'm just kind of like hesitant. I'm hesitant. um, so again, with a corner that has all of these abilities, who's a perfect man coverage corner, man, I don't have any problem with that. I don't have a problem with him being physical. That's just a knock on him. Sometimes you can coach that out of a player. Obviously, when you get to the NFL, you're not, a superstar. You're not 100% polished. Some people are, but so the coaching, can he take the coaching? Is he coachable? Is he a Dan Campbell guy? He looks to be a Dan Campbell guy to me. He's very gritty, very tough. He's a very willing tackler, because our DBs have to be willing tacklers. Now, they weren't willing to tackle too much in the NFC Championship game, but that's neither here nor there. But our DBs have to be willing to tackle because they're going to be on those islands. They're going to have to be coming down and run support when they get the edge. Our defensive line is going to set the edge, but sometimes, the DBs will have to come and clean it up. So he's willing to do that. As I said, he drives on the ball. He's very quick to it. Good closing speed. He'll close a gap very quickly, couple steps, and he'll be on the receiver or he'll be on the running back. So these are not concerns that I have about him. These are good things. As I said, and I will continue to say, my biggest concern is his injury history. You look at some guys, you look at like Jeff Okuda, for example. Now, Jeff Okuda wasn't a good football player by any stretch of the imagination. And the people that still believe that there was some potential there and he was a good football player, I don't know what you were watching, but you weren't watching the same thing that I was watching. So his situation was worsened, okay, because injuries never really help anybody. So his situation was worsened by the fact that he couldn't stay healthy. The groin injury that we're talking about with Rakestraw, right? The groin injury is what cost Jeff Okuda most of his rookie season. I believe he had an ACL. I know he had an Achilles. I remember that one very well. That happened, while he was covering Debo Samuel. So, uh, but his situation where it's like, okay, the lower body injuries, once they start to pile up, you get a step slower, you lose some explosiveness, things of that nature. Like I said, the rehab, the science, the medicine, all that stuff is much better these days. But, that's just a situation where I'm just very cautious. I'm very cautious about that. So uh, that's it, man. That's all I got for Rakestraw. If you guys have anybody that you want me to talk about, that you want me to break down, more so, um, I play cornerback, I play running back, so I'm really not big into the linemen, breaking down their film. I'm not going to tell you I know exactly what I'm looking for a lineman, but when I'm looking at a cornerback, when I'm looking at a safety, when I'm looking at a running back, I know exactly what I'm looking for. And I can tell you if the guy's good or if the guy's not good. Just like I told people that Jeff Okuda was not good, and people still want to push back. Still want to push back. If it hadn't been for the injuries, no, it was it. Because that man looked like he never played a down of football in his life when he got to the NFL. And you don't just forget how to play football when you've been playing, for that long. If you started playing in high school and you were good enough to get, recruited to a college, and then you played in a college and you were good enough to get drafted, supposedly good enough, you are not going to forget how to play football. I don't care if it's, the scheme, whatever the case may be. If you can't do it, you better learn how to do it, So that's it, man. But anyway, that's all I got for today. As I said, And as I always say, subscribe, like, share. You got to be a friend. You got to tell a friend. You got to tell people what's going on in this very kitchen right here. Get them in here, smell the aromas, all the feels, get the vibes. You already know what time it is. But until next time, peace.